All right, and we're live. All right, guys. So I'd like to welcome you back to the Mad Maker Show. We have a special guest tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun to interview Marsh Wildman from Wildman Tech.
Hi,
And
everyone.
we'll say hello, dude.
How's everyone doing?
We're gonna have a nice conversation with Marsh, and you're gonna be surprised at the amount of massive. He's a force to be reckoned with. We'll get to Marsh in a second here, but just for folks joining in, we've been doing a lot of small snippets of past shows and putting them online, and so a lot of fun because there's a lot of moments that are tucked away that are just fantastic. So we're doing little bite-sized snippets of the Mad Maker Show as well. We have shirts available too, and that's it for my bit. There's a few other things going on, but I'm going to pass it on to JP.
What's going on, everybody? I'm here once again drinking out of my Minecrafting mug. I'm one. I don't know how many is there of us now. 5, I think. 1/5 of the Makers International podcast. My personal website is jp-woodwork.com. My YouTube is JP Woodwork. My Twitter and Instagram is JP_Woodwork. The podcast website is JP. The podcast website is makersinternationalpodcast.com. Both websites are sponsored by Steve Nealon at Harnell Media, and that website is harnellmedia.com. I'll give you a quick preview of my next project if you're interested in doing that. It's a Charles Deering pattern of a German Shepherd. I'm not sure, that'll probably take about 20 hours to do on my saw. It's actually a gift for somebody. I can't say who, otherwise it kind of take the surprise away. So once I've cut it out, I can't release a video until they've received it. So if you want to see that video, you can go and head over to my channel, and it'll be there for once it's done.
All right, awesome. Well, before we've got someone that has to come on and say a few things. Before that, can you tell us who's out there?
I can tell you who's out there. There is a Liberty Woodworking, Rob Boom, Wesley Summercraft, Steve Nealon, Daniel Harju, Katie Dotson, Mancrafting, SDM Customs, OJ's Woodworking Crafts, Jim Bashir's, good friend Anna's Workshop, who had a bit of an incident with a skew in the week. Javi's Woodshop, Frankie's CNC Woodworking Channel, Shogun Jimmy, Mike Lindsay CNC, Mr. Guitar Man, Bob Lee's Woodshop. Who else? Katie Dotson. Did I say Katie already? I'm not sure. She deserves 2 shout-outs anyway.
She's in there twice.
Yeah, she deserves 2 shout-outs anyway. She's a good girl. Doc Hildebrandt's out there, and I'm out there.
All right, so Doc, jump in when you have a chance here, so that you can give us your update, if you would. While we're waiting for Doc, I do want to mention tonight at 12 o'clock midnight. Once that what do you call that thing?
The hand.
Once
when the big hand touches the little hand.
When that big hand touches that little hand.
Mm-hmm.
What will be when that big hand touches the little hand, it will be over. The Plywood Challenge, the 2018 Portal Woodworks Plywood Challenge, will have closed. All the entries, and by the way, you should see the entries and the amount of prizes.
Steve Rydell's got a nice entry.
Yeah, what was it that he did? I know what it is, but I'm like, this is like online drama, like saying, so what did he do? Although I know, but what was it?
Oh, Steve Rydell's done a project.
Oh, you didn't know? It's a fantastic Viking.
He did a Viking ship, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, the video came out, I don't know, just a few hours ago. I kept refreshing his page to try and wait for it. And I was like, come on, Steve, release that video. But it came out and he did not let us down. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like a trip, you know. At one point, I was thinking, you know what? At one point, I'm pushing for them to do the plywood, but there's all these prizes, and guess what? I shouldn't be pushing this because the less people that join, then I can probably get away with winning the prizes. And I was, and yet it happened. Twidell, a freaking Viking ship out of plywood, dude. Javi did a space measuring thing on the CNC, and he talks about that the process. There's a bunch others. Um, who else? Oh, Steve Nealon is making a huge table round for the dining room table for his son and daughter-in-law. Really cool. Just a bunch of stuff, and the prizes. So we just wanted to mention that.
Didn't he do the equal space thingy divider?
Yeah.
He did that thing that stretched halfway across the room.
Yeah. Hey, I just mentioned Doc. Is Doc? Doc, I mentioned you. Are you coming on, or what's the story? Did Doc get
I can't see him in the chat at the moment, so he must still be trying.
Let me just throw him the link one more time here. But I did mention. Maybe he's looking at.
Don't send it to Jerry Blakesley this time.
Yeah. So.
I was actually going to enter the Portal Woodworks plywood challenge, but I was under the assumption I had no plywood until I moved out 2 sheets of MDF, and there was a big sheet of plywood stuck behind it. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't done the scroll saw pictures earlier as well. I thought I had none.
Come on, Doc. Jump on in, man. We got a show to do, dude. Well, son of a gun. Well, we're gonna continue on, and when he pops in, he pops in. After all, this is the Mad Maker show. So, guys, I'd like to welcome Marsh Wildman to the show. Marsh, welcome, dude. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Dude, you were the most difficult guest to grab and have on the show. We were after you and after you. Marsh, we got to get ourselves some Marsh. We got to get ourselves, and yet you were like, nope, can't do it. No. Why were you being so difficult, dude?
It was my schedule. At the time you were trying to get me on, I was taking a class on CNC machining at Sierra College, and that was sucking up my Tuesdays.
Can I ask why?
What's that?
Can I ask why?
Well, I need to take the class on CNC machining to learn how to use this machine I got. I'm kind of like that. I'll buy something that I don't know how to use just to have to learn how to use it.
Well, yeah. What did you buy?
I bought a Tormach PCNC 1100.
Nice. I am totally not a CNC guy, but hit us with a little bit of CNC for the CNCers.
Well, it's a CNC milling machine. It's professionals don't like them because they're not the most tolerant. The tolerances aren't really tight on them. But for the money, they're pretty decent. And if you don't need to hold close tolerances, it's a good way to get your foot in the door on a CNC milling machine. And that's something that I need because one of the things that I want to do is make plastic injection molding machines, and the real money in that endeavor is to make molds for people, and that takes a CNC milling machine.
Marsh, so for those out there that don't know Marsh is like, in my opinion, and I think if you see, you'd agree, the epitome of like maker and then Mad Maker as well. And I'm not trying to embarrass you by saying such things, but every time that we connect, or you come up on a hangout or whatever, you're always in the middle of a host of different types of projects, and the scope is wide, truly. And I've mentioned to you behind the scene that, man, Marsh, you're a badass, man. You're constantly doing it up. Is that not a fact that I say that?
Yeah, you do say that, Eloy, and I appreciate it. It is a little embarrassing, but hey, I run a fabrication shop, and I am all over the place: wood, metal, plastic, and electronics.
Not to mention the fact that you're pumping out videos on a very consistent basis. So behind the scenes, there's all sorts of, and you always mention, well, Eloy, half the stuff that I do, I'm not filming because I'm just, and yet you manage to get things on film on a consistent basis. It's an amazing thing. Tell us.
Well, my YouTube channel is actually part of my business plan, and you know, even though it only brings in $25 a month, you know, every little bit of exposure helps. The YouTube channel is not so much a moneymaker, but it's more my online resume of the things that I do, because yeah, as you've seen, I am all over the place with the kinds of projects I do, and it's everything from art pieces to prototypes for inventors and stuff. And yeah, I just want examples of the kind of work that I can do out there, because I specialize in building things for people, and the things that I build are usually things that you can't buy anywhere else.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into like the huge different you know, disciplines that you get. You're not. It appears that you're never afraid to tackle a thing, and it's apparent every time that we cross paths on a hangout or whatnot. You're always involved in something. It could be an electronic component inside another project. It could be a whole, like, something that you're totally upcycling, like metal and huge size. We're going to get to that in a second. And really, folks out there, I'm sure that most of you know Marsh, but those that don't, check out his stuff. It's just brilliant stuff. But we're going to have to pause for half a second. We have Doc here. And Doc, where the heck were you, dude?
I said to tell me when you were ready, and you sent me the link to the Hangout twice instead of saying now, which I would have jumped in.
I said now live.
I wasn't paying attention live. That's why I said in the Facebook Messenger, if you read through it, I said, let me know on here when you want me to jump in.
This is what we have.
This is the madness of the Mad Maker show.
So what's going on, Doc?
Oh, same old, same old. How you guys doing?
Well, we're just hanging, and right?
Pretty good, Doc.
Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, Marsh. Much respect. Love your stuff. Blah, blah, blah.
Thank you.
Yeah, hey. Reason I popped on quick is we had an announcement. Makers Media Network, we're doing a monthly T-shirt giveaway, and we just drew the number for this month's winners, the month of July. It was Ashley Marie Stilson. I will reach out to you you win a free T-shirt from the MMN store. I'll reach out to you after the show, and we'll go from there. So congratulations. That's something we're going to do every month going forward for members. You should check it out. Thank you for the time.
Well,
Yeah.
That's
So-
Chip Builds, right?
Chip Builds. Yeah, I was just going to ask. The name of her channel had escaped me.
Chip Builds,
Yeah.
congratulations. So she gets to, what is it that she gets to pick of her? How?
She
What?
gets to pick of whatever she wants, whatever T-shirt she wants from the Makers Media Network T-shirt store.
Right on. Bad to the
Yeah.
bone.
Unfortunately, you're not going to win like a big check that says anything, or it's not like a gift card, or we don't have any of that. You just win. So
Nice. So congratulations.
congratulations, Ashley. Yeah,
Very
happy.
cool.
Well, you can stick around, or you can boogie. It's up to you. We're going to continue with Wildman if that's okay.
Oh, it's fine with me. Don't do anything. Don't kick up a fuss on my behalf.
All right. So Marsh,
I've actually got a quick question for Marsh.
Yeah.
I know something he wanted to get off his chest. Has Marsh got any stickers he wanted to swap?
Oh yeah, I've this is I got my sticker wall behind me here, and let's fill it up. I'll give Eloy my address, and anyone that sends me a sticker from anywhere in the world, I'll send a couple back.
very cool.
Okay.
You want me to just say the address?
If you have a PO box,
on your head, be it.
Yeah, it's Wildman Tech, or Marsh Wildman, whichever, at P.O. Box 246925. That's in Sacramento, California, 95824.
Excellent. Repeat it one more time, please.
P.O. Box 246925, Sacramento, California, 95824.
Awesome. All right. So getting back to Marsh, you've been involved in all sorts of different projects. We should go a little bit later into your Instagram, and I'll pop that up on the screen and share it with folks so they can see like the diversity of frickin' projects. We want to go into a little bit of your past because we want folks to know, and I want to know, curiosity, how it is that you came to be at the place where you stand now with the skills and all that. But before we touch on all that, right now you're doing multiple things, but you're building what I think is called like a surfacer for slabs or this, and you were showing us this huge machine that's stuck. It seems like that corner of your shop is always full of like a project that's huge. Hit us with that. What's going on there?
Yeah, my current project is a wood slab surfacing machine, and it's 5 feet wide and 12 feet long. It's going to be able to handle a slab 50 inches wide and 11 feet long, and it has an automatic gantry that takes a 2 horsepower router and just makes it go back and forth, and then an operator has to advance it down the length of the slab. And yeah, it's a huge project. I've been working on it for months. I've actually been procrastinating on it for months. But yeah, it's the subject of my last couple of videos. And the next video I release should include the completion of the project. I've been working on it hard and heavy today. I built the linear advance mechanism, and there's video of that on today's Instagram post. I built the table that the slab sits on. I still need to build the elevator mechanism to lift the slab up into the blade, because the blade does not have any adjustments to it.
Also, you, like a month ago, maybe a little over a month, somewhere thereabouts, you hauled home a huge like gas tank, huge, that fits in the back of a truck, barely, just about, not even. Hauled it up, and I got to see a little bit of that, and I think you have videos. Tell us about that savagery, because it's barbaric in size. What you do, you go into the extremes. Tell us about what the heck, what did you do with that? I know what you did, but for the folks out in the chat.
Yeah, it was actually a couple of months ago, maybe 3 months now. I got a call that if I wanted, I could go up to Volcano, California, which is maybe 100 miles from here. And the guy said I could have this 250-gallon propane tank. And I looked up, a 250-gallon propane tank supposed to weigh about 450 pounds. But when I got there, it was actually a 500-gallon propane tank, weighed 950 pounds. But yeah, we used my hydraulic lift gate on my pickup to wrestle the thing into the truck. And then when I got home, I cut it up with a plasma cutter, and I made a giant garden bench with it. And my latest thing I made out of the scraps is something I'm calling the throne. It's just a one-person chair made out of the pieces I cut out of that propane tank. And that stuff's in my pretty recent Instagram posts.
It's awesome because so just the sheer fact that it's this huge thing, it's kind of unmanageable and yet manageable because you did it. But like, and then you have to lower it. You had to lower it from your truck down, and it's such a heavy thing, and into your shop. You chop it up, and you once you welded that sucker together, that bench, you had it sent out to coating.
Yeah,
Let's look at it.
That's it.
That's awesome. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's barbaric inside the shop. And then you went and took it coated, or went and had it coated. And what did you what color did you decide on? I think it was trippy as heck.
Yeah, the garden bench I had done in just the purplest purple like I could find, and then the throne, the single chair, I had that done in hot pink. And a friend of mine came over and she said they remind her of Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, it does have that sort of surreal, trippy,
Yeah.
look. But man, heavy duty, dude, and then so one was purple and the other one you went with what color?
Hot pink.
Hot pink for the ones with the scrap. Do you have anything left over?
Yeah, I've got more scraps. I cut. Well, Regina told me to get the rest of that stuff out of there, so I cut all the rest of it up, and I cut pieces for a water feature I'm going to build, and a coffee table I'm going to build, and I might have enough for one more chair. I'm not sure yet.
That's amazing, dude. Okay, so here's the thing. We haven't asked you a bunch of questions that we want to ask you. I want to get into a little bit of Marsh, the history, so that we know a little bit about you personally and stuff, and just so we can get a sense of you. But before that, I want to know if there's anything going on in the chat, if JP or Doc have any questions and all that jazz. So you guys do your thing.
Have you got anything, Doc? Because I've got a couple of questions from the chat.
No, I'm A-okay over here.
Oh, mate.
Just kind of along for the ride. I'm like the extra guy on like a football broadcast. I'm the color commentator today. Just talking about things going on in the crowd. It's a lovely day here. Wind swirling in the south end zone.
Okay, fair dues.
Back to you, JP.
Thanks, Doc. Right, we've got a question from Mark Lindsay. He says, "Has Marsh stocked up on plastic straws yet?"
Well, you know, they started putting paper straws. They introduced these paper straws, but they put them in a plastic wrapper. So I'm not sure what's going on with that situation. For those that don't know, there's a new legislation here in California where I live, where something about outlawing plastic straws. First, it was plastic grocery bags, and I actually don't mind that because those things they were a litter hazard. They're all over the town. But yeah, I don't know what the deal is with straws.
Okay. Question from Jim Bashirs. His slab surfacing machine is still going well. What would you change on it?
You know, it's still under construction, and I start in on one thing and change it every time I work on it. Like today, I did the linear advance, the linear drive, and that was originally going to be power fed, but I changed that. I used a bicycle chain and a crank. That way, I didn't want it so they could leave it unattended. So I decided it was going to need an operator. And the way it's set up now is when the router goes across and hits the reverse limit switch, the operator turns this crank one turn, and that advances it 80% of the blade width.
Okay. Julian Martinez. Oh, is he still talking? Oh, sorry, it's back to me. Yeah. Julian Martinez says bacon or sausage.
Bacon.
Bacon. Obviously. Michael Loring says, is there anything so crazy that even Marsh wouldn't try it?
No.
Jim Dockwell
not so far.
Jim Dockwell says, what does Marsh like doing better, cutting steel apart with a plasma car or welding it back together?
Oh man, those two go they're so hand in hand. I tell you what I like least is grinding. Yeah, it's a toss up, man. Plasma cutting and welding, they're two sides of the same coin for me, but I hate grinding.
Okay. Matt Huss said, Will you do the Christmas poem collab again this year?
Do a what?
Will you do the Christmas poem collaboration again this year?
Yeah, of course I do that. In fact, Shelley Cole gave me some great ideas last year.
Awesome. Right. I'm lost here. Has Temple Boy Turning, Steve Swardell. Has Marsh ever wanted to try any other crafts? And if yes, why hasn't he?
You know, I've done a lot. And if I haven't gotten to it yet, that's all that means, that I haven't gotten to it yet. But I am all over the place. I mean, I made a plaster injection mold out of I made an injection mold for the plastic injection molding machine out of plaster. I'm working on making one out of aluminum. Probably going to be doing, there's a project I want to do coming up, a gas forge. Now, I've done a couple of those in the past, but this is a new technology I want to use, something called a ribbon burner that has a fan in it. And that's going to involve getting a hold of a kiln and firing the burner after I cast it. So, yeah, it's only a matter of time. If I haven't done it yet, just stay tuned. It's coming.
Right, yeah. We've got a question from Daniel Harju. I'm going to have to beat myself out for this one. He says, I just want to know how Marsh learned all of this. Beep.
Well, now here's the secret. Probably 80% of the stuff that you see me do, if you watch my YouTube channel, you're seeing me do it for the very first time. So, I know this is one of the questions that Eloy was probably planning on asking me. So I'll just put the question out there and answer it for you now. And that is, why do I do this? And I can tell you the reason I am in this vocation and the reason I do this trade is because my dad suffered a bunch of strokes, and his demise took years and was really horrible thing to watch. And through the years, I've been studying what does it take to avoid that. And the one thing, they ask 98-year-old nuns that drink brandy every night. So it's not avoiding the drink. It's not any of the things you might think. The thing that keeps you alive and vital most is using your mind to create. So that's why I do this. That's why I create something every day.
That's a good answer. Jim Bashir says, what did Marsh do for a living?
Back when I used to work for other people?
I guess so, yeah.
I used to run a water treatment plant.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty decent job. It involves a lot of technical stuff, chemistry, math, a lot of math, a little bit of biology.
Yeah. And last one for now, so we'll have some a bit later on. OJ's Woodworking Craft says, how big is your shop?
It is the equivalent of a 5-car garage.
There we go. So I still think Jake's got the title, hasn't he?
Well, so I've got nothing more to add. You guys stole all, and Harju put the nail in the frickin' coffin. Harju, come on, dude. I thought we were like on good terms here. You asked the best question of the frickin' night, and the answer was spectacular.
Yeah, we have very good fans.
And the funny thing is Harju's logo is a nail.
Yeah.
Harju is the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's bent so that you're gonna have difficult.
It sucks to pull it out.
Yeah.
Well, but it's a duplex, so you got that extra head to pull on.
That's true.
So on the heels of Harju, we're gonna call this the great Harju upset of 2018. The destructive comment that ruined my forward motion completely. But we're gonna, off the heels of that, ask you, Marsh, give us a little bit, because we want to go back in time so that we can see through your eyes, if you could, dig for us, because we really want to sort of we want to see that moment through your eyes, whatever you want to share, right? It can be in a compact way. Tell us about you, where we know where you're at, but growing up, where you're from, life, as a kid and stuff. Just give us a little bit of that so we have perspective.
Well, oddly enough, if I go to my front porch, I live across the street from a park. If I go to my front porch and look 45 degrees across the park, I see the house I grew up in. And at that house, my dad and we replaced the galvanized steel plumbing with copper. Now I was pretty young doing this. Started around 1970. I was 10 years old, and we built all the windows for the place, the window frames, everything. And I glazed in the glass at 10 years old. Later, a couple of years later, when we did the plumbing, we swapped out the galvanized steel for copper, and my dad taught me how to sweat solder pipes. Then moving forward, I got kind of rebellious, and I wanted to turn my bicycle into a chopper. So I got this idea to get some EMT conduit and pound the ends flat and cut a notch in them with a hacksaw to fit my front wheel. And then I slid those over the fork tips on my bike, made myself a chopper. And that's what started it all, is the chopper is what sent me down the road to building things for myself.
What year are we looking at? Give us a time frame.
The chopper was probably around 1973. I was maybe 13. One of my first original projects where I just had an idea and brought it together.
So tell us a little bit about the area, a little bit. I want to know a little bit about how many of your friends were doing similar things. Give us a little bit of that. 1973, Marsh. At that time, what were you watching on TV? What things do you remember? I want to know a little bit of the things that if I ask you, that they come to mind, to the forefront.
Okay. Well, let's see. TV. Around that time, I think that might have been the era of Speed Racer. And there was something else, Ultraman, Marine Boy. These are the after-school TV shows. A lot of my friends, well, I was actually quite fortunate to go to a junior high school where we had a full industrial arts program. And we had a complete wood shop, a metal shop that included a foundry and small gas engine lab. It had an electronics shop. And this is just great, I think we were in there starting at 12 years old, and they expose you to all this stuff with little projects, a little wood bench. In the metal shop, we made a sheet metal toolbox, and then the next semester of metal shop, we actually had aluminum foundry, where we would you could carve a pattern out of styrofoam or wood, and then hammer that into sand, and then pull the pattern out and pour aluminum into the sand, and it makes a casting. And all my friends were doing all those things. Plus, we weren't exactly wealthy, so we were constantly building bikes. This was the era where BMX was just coming out. And so the first thing we're doing is we're going over trying to find a set of motorcycle handlebars and figure out a way to get those onto a bicycle, which wasn't all that easy. Back then you had the part that clamps the handlebar, you had to bend that out to get it past the crossbar of the motorcycle handlebar and then bend it back, and hopefully it didn't break.
Give us a moment as a kid that you got in trouble with your folks. You did something you shouldn't have. Give us an experience of that.
I got a better one where I didn't get in trouble.
We'll take it.
We broke a window, and I knew how to put the windows in, and my folks are at work. So there's a hardware store not far. My dad had glass in the shop. The one thing I did not know how to do is cut it. So I wrapped up this glass, measured the window, took the glass down to the hardware store, and they knew who I was. They knew who my dad was. And I said, hey, can you cut this piece of glass for me? They cut it. I brought it back home, replaced the window. Now, I cleaned up outside, and then later that night, my mom gets home and says, did you break a window? And I'm like, what? How'd you know? I did not clean the glass up on the inside of the house.
Oh, that is so
broken glass that had fallen inside the house was still there on the floor.
Dude.
I did the entire repair on the outside, and I got away with it because.
Well, you got away with it because it was brilliant because you actually showed initiative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Any other kid would have been like, it wasn't, I think I saw a bird fly through the window. You know? That's freaking awesome, dude. So do you still stay in contact with some of your buddies from the past from that time?
Yeah, interestingly enough, my next door neighbor from that time lives just 9 blocks. I mean, if you went through my property 9 blocks, you would walk right into his house. He's on a different street, same house number.
Wow, dude. Now, last thing along this line of questioning. So you told us that Speed Racer and some other robot cartoon thing. What other activities did you partake of? This is a clean family show. What other activities did you partake of at the time? Give us a little bit about what was the music that you were listening to? Just give us a little bit more, because I just want a couple of snapshots of Marsh back in the day.
Well, moving forward into the mid-'70s, 75, 76, Peter Frampton was coming alive right then, and that was really big. And the Who and the Moody Blues, those were some of my favorites. Started getting into hot rods, and there's a lot of maker activity going on in hot rods. You know, modifying cars, putting performance parts on engines, stuff like that. And back in junior high school, my formative years there, one of the classes they gave us was small gas engine repair. And in that class, this was the coolest thing. I don't know if anyone offers this today. They took a Briggs & Stratton 3.5 horsepower engine, completely disassembled it, measured all the tolerances, completely put it back together, did a compression test, rebuilt the carburetor, even though it didn't need it. But that formed a basis that allowed me to work on any engine anywhere.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now let's go forward. Is there anything that you two have to input, or any questions or whatnot that you'd like to JP and Doc? Okay.
I've got a question from Javi from Matt in the chat.
Okay.
He says Scotch, bourbon, cognac, or whiskey.
Whiskey.
There you go. That's all I've got.
I just wanted to. I just wanted to talk again. That's really all I have.
Hey, well, that's participating. We like this.
And I helped.
Oh, heck yeah. And Ashley won a shirt, man.
Ashley won a shirt.
That's
Congratulations to Ashley. And we talked to our buddy Marsh.
Heck yeah. All right, so Marsh, going forward, when you at that age growing up, did you foresee, I mean, what were you wanting to do in life? What were the things that were in your, this will be the last question of that, unless something else pops up from it. At that time, did you even ponder the future of what you'd want to do and this and that?
You know, I just wanted to date women of questionable moral virtue and drive hot rods.
I'm glad that's a very Marsh little statement there. That's awesome. All right, fair enough. Good answer. Good answer. Now going forward in time, Marsh, when did you start doing the YouTube thing? I don't know if you mentioned that before within some of the questions given, but when did you come across the YouTube thing as far as making, and then you said, well, wait a second, how did you get into doing the videos?
Well, I discovered YouTube a long time ago. I'm not sure. Probably right around the time YouTube started was when I first created a channel, and that's just my personal channel. It's still up. There's a lot of really bad singing there, a lot of stuff surrounding my marathon running experience that I ran a couple of marathons a long time ago. And that channel's still up, and I still post things to it, actually. But it was, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, I was watching Colin Furze, and he's making pulse jet engines, and I thought that was really cool. and I saw him making a pulse jet engine, and he mentions that he's a plumber. And fast forward maybe a year or so later, he's making something else. He's using a water jet to expand steel into giant pillows and stuff. And he mentions in that video, he says, I used to be a plumber. Now I make YouTube videos.
Nice.
And that is what I ding, 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 a bell went off, and I'm like, what? You can do this for a living? And from that day forward, I had my mind set on maybe not doing YouTube for a living, but incorporating YouTube into what I do for a living. Because I know compared to Colin Furze, I got a pretty tiny channel, but you know, it's good for $25 a month.
Good. Awesome, dude. So in a little bit here, JP's going to go ahead and present your Instagram channel, and we're going to present.
Let me open it up first.
Okay.
I closed it off. I've actually got a picture made by Javi that I've got to share as well.
Okay. Well, let me know when you're ready, and I'll present you. And
okay. Right, go on, then, mate.
Okay. All right. Give me.
Well, I better start screen sharing, isn't I?
I'm going to present you. So, Marsh, this bit of the show is where JP will show. Oh, that's hilarious.
That's come from Javi.
Thanks, Javi.
So what we'll do is JP's gonna run through the Instagrams, and you could just give us the lowdown on the pictures that we see. So you could give us a brief sort of overview of what we're looking at.
Right, if you want to pick and choose what pictures you want me to open.
Well, that
you can direct JP. JP can say what's this, whatever the case. Doc also can get involved. I'll sit back and watch, and I'll come back when we've gone over the slightly over the time.
well, I can tell you what we're looking at here. This aluminum rail down the length of this thing that has a small bicycle sprocket on it, that is a screw drive garage door opener. And this big bicycle crank, the ratio is 3.5 to 1. So one turn of the big crank turns the little one 3.5 times, which is the exact length. Well, it's 80% of the blade width of the router bit. So the operator turns that crank one turn, and if you the operator turns that crank one turn, it advances the blade that much. The next newest image on Instagram is video of that actually working. That's from Sunday's. That's from Sunday's video, where I got the automated gantry that slides the router back and forth automatically. That covers that and how that works, including the circuit.
Did I go the right way? Because we can go. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So that's actually up and running. This thing's coming together quick. I might finish it tomorrow, maybe.
So yeah, there's that one.
Okay, there's that. That's the Simpsons Mayan calendar.
That's pretty cool.
I did not. I cut that on my CNC router, but I am not the creator of the file.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Brandon asked me at the Make or Break shop. Asked me to post that. That's the throne, and that thing is not only beautiful, it's comfortable.
Is that another thing from the tank?
That's those are scraps from the propane tank.
Nice. I think looks like a piece of a drill press by the looks of it.
Oh yeah. If you go back 4 or 5 images, you can see that was just laying on the ground at the metal scrapyard a couple days. Yeah.
Is that the one? No. Oh, back. Sorry. So it would have been
here. The one above me, right, that one, the white
equipment.
thing.
Yeah, there.
That.
There you go.
See it way back in the background. That's that drill press.
Yeah.
I went back the next day and got it.
I'm glad you did that.
It must weigh 200 pounds. It's got a 2 horsepower motor on it.
It's a big one.
And the table is 2 by 2 feet.
It's a beaut.
This other thing, this blue thing in that picture is a industrial air compressor, and this thing in the forefront here is an industrial laboratory incubation chamber. I am never surprised by what I find at this metal scrapyard I go to.
Unbelievable. That's pretty cool.
The ski bike? Yeah, I just built that. Can't wait for snow. I don't even like snow, but I'm looking forward to it now.
You do when you build things like that.
What was the question, Jamie?
I said you do when you build things like that.
Yeah, it's all about having fun, right?
Oh yeah, without doubt. Oh wow, what happened?
Oh hey, back up there. This see this Maker Hangout thing?
Yeah.
I host that the first Saturday of every month. If you're anywhere in Northern California, it's the first Saturday of every month at 11 at Sac City Brews. That's this Saturday if you're around.
There you go. So,
Oh yeah, I had an accident there. That's that thing circled in that picture of my eyeball. That's a piece of steel that landed in my eye under my safety glasses.
Ouch! Bet that hurt a bit.
Yeah, you know, it was pretty interesting when they took it out. The guy put some sort of a anesthetic on there and swabbed it, but then he took this thing, it's like a microscopic Dremel tool, and hit the thing. He spun it out, is what they called it.
So that.
So hey, back up here a little bit, Jamie. That big green planer, see that planer?
Yeah, this one.
That's sitting over there in the steel scrapyard, and that thing's got a 24-inch wide bed on it.
Unbelievable. And, it's hard to believe people just throw that sort of stuff away.
Yeah, he wants $700 for it.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that all you want to do, Eli?
Well, go. I'm just getting ready to
These are pretty nice. These bikes.
Unshare the presentation thing. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with the Crate series of Schwinn bikes? They had the apple crate, the orange crate, the pea picker.
I can't say I am. No.
Well, they were a very popular line of Schwinn bikes, and they had a 20-inch back wheel and a 12-inch front wheel. Well, this thing here, the guy's calling it the King Crate. That's a 26-inch back wheel and a 20-inch front wheel, and the seat is a good 5 feet off the ground.
Wow. That really doesn't look that tall.
Yeah.
Front in the picture.
No scale.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah, that's nice as well.
That's me right there.
That thing is badass. That's electric. Yeah. It does 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, no, I love that board track style.
Yeah, I can totally see Doc on that.
Yeah, board track style right there. That's all me.
All right, I'm gonna return us.
Very cool.
There we are. So awesome. I have all the, just so that you know, Marsh, and for the folks out there, I have all the links down below where they could find you and all of us, actually. So I'm curious how many of you guys know of Marsh already, if you could leave that. I bet you everybody there does. But I want to ask you this question. So what is Marsh's life philosophy? What are your thoughts? What wisdom from Marsh? People that want to do things but aren't sure or doubtful, or maybe they just can't quite know. Sure, other people do, but not me. Boy, I'm not gonna. What is Marsh's words of wisdom and words to live by?
Well, I'll tell you this: if you want to build things, start now. That's what I can say. Start now, because you know, I used to think one day I am going to do that, and one day I'm gonna do that, and at that time I was living a whole life filled with one day I'm gonna do that, and that life kind of fell apart, and that was the day I decided, you know, I'm gonna do that today. So yeah, that's what I say is if there's something you want to do, start now.
Very good. Well, awesome. Hey, what's that sound, by the way?
That was a helicopter just buzzed my house. I'm on the flight path of the local executive airport. So
no, but yeah, I hear you have a fan. Do you have a fan going?
I do. It's off over there in the actually outside the room. Can you hear
How are
it?
you hearing? How the hell are you hearing that?
I can hear it.
I can hear
A
it too.
helicopter just
Mike's
buzzed
picking
me.
it up.
Well, now it's gone.
I think it was that helicopter that just went by.
Well, dude, that's a disturbing helicopter because it was like and it was like, but no, I think it's the fan. Could it be the helicopter? Boy, that's
I think it was because that's when you asked.
okay.
And yeah.
So you always tell me, you always, when we're talking and stuff, you sometimes bring up, and I do that a lot too, the way I am, like if there's a moment that is memorable to me, I'll bring it up every now and again. And you always tell me, there's a Duressa story that you tell me where there's a couple of those. So you tell me one where there's this wine bottle thing. I forget what the heck it was, but it's
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. You want to see it?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Here.
So, how's everyone doing right now? I'm going to jump in,
So-
fill the dead air. This is my big chance. I'm going to dance.
Yeah. What's the weather like in Pennsylvania, Doc?
So yeah. So
Mute.
So Jimmy DiResta went to Luis Gonzalez's house in Puerto Rico, and he's doing a little vlog post, and he goes into this room, and there's this gadget on the table, and he reaches down and turns the crank on this gadget, and he makes no comment about it. I just saw it in the video. So, and for those of you that don't know, I mean, everyone knows who Jimmy DiResta is, but what a lot of people don't realize is he is very approachable. I mean, he has responded to every email I've ever sent him. And, you know, so I grabbed the clip, put it on my YouTube channel as a private clip, and I say, hey, man, can I use this clip in a video I want to do? And he says, sure, no problem. And the clip was to make the gadget. And this is it. It's what it is a port wine pourer. And the bottle goes in here, and you turn this crank, and it gently tilts the port wine out into there's usually a candle under the neck, and you have the glass out here. But yeah, I wanted to build this thing, and he told me, yeah, the reason I took the picture of that thing is because I thought it would be a cool thing to build. And here it is, the port wine pourer.
So that's really baffling to me, because if you turn it too much, and it's going to really pour out, so you have to quickly turn it back the other way to stop it.
Well, no, it is so low geared that it'll come out ever so in a
Like
very
drip
fine
forms.
stream.
Like drip forms.
And the idea is that it will come out slow because you'll have a candle under the glass to heat the port. Because apparently drinking port wine is well, if you heat it up, it kind of releases the
fumes,
whatever the aromas and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people I know like heat it up in the microwave and things like that.
Yeah.
See, the only downside is like, so they have the wine in a box, and it's just the best thing because once the wine is almost done, you just open that up and you can go, and then I just want to put out there that the wine in a box is also a great idea. But I'm glad you told us. You always tell us that every now and again, and I'm kind of that. I like looking back at certain little moments and stuff, and that's one that you always every now and then touch upon. So, who are the makers that have inspired you that you pay attention to out there, just with your curiosity? I'm sure there's many, but just give us a few that sort of like you focus on or you pay attention to and all that.
let's see. You know, there are just so many now. Well, all the people who are my personal friends, like like you, Jamie, and about half the names I heard who were in the chat. I look at all those guys, and then there's the big names like Jimmy DiResta and Bob Claggett and Laura Camp, and yeah, I look at all those. I can't think of anybody in particular. Tim Sway is a big is one that I like a lot because I really like his philosophy about upcycling. I don't know about being vegetarian, but he drinks whiskey, so it can't be all bad, right? So
Right.
Yeah, there's I used to sort of idolize Colin Furze and Jimmy DiResta, and I kind of stopped doing that because I came to realize that they're actually regular people, and yeah, so I nobody comes to mind that I'm like the super fanboy of at the moment.
All right. Fair enough. I'm glad that you're very open with that. You know, I love that you've been very open with all these questions stuff, and particularly the backstory of Marsh. You know, although there's more that we could touch on, but I'm glad that you've been open and exposed with all these, you know, questions and answered them the way you have, because we like to keep things, you know, for the record. This whole slew of, you know, makers that we've had on the show, and it's important to get those moments of, you know, of those little specifics, those little nuggets. I was gonna ask you another question, but as I started responding to what I just did, it's freaking slipped my mind, and it was a good.
I've got a few.
What?
I've got a few.
Okay.
Right. First one comes from Shogun Jimmy. He says, "Do you consider yourself a wild man or a madman?"
Well, my name is Wildman, so I go with it.
Yeah, let's go with that. Right, I'm going to warn you now. We've got another question from Daniel Harju.
Oh, goodness. Daniel, I hope this is not devastating to the show again.
What's the thing he wants to build the most in the future? A boat, a bunker, and they're just examples.
Okay. You know, the thing I want to build the most is an injection molding machine. Now, I've built a couple in the past, and they've been okay, but I want to build an injection molding machine that I can sell, because these damn things are expensive. And I see these companies out there, they've got an injection molding machine, and what I'm looking at is $300 in parts, and they sell the thing for $15,000. I want to get a piece of that pie. I think I can bring one to market for under $2,000 and still make a handsome profit on it. So that's in fact, anyone that's looked at my channel, my most popular videos are on the subject of injection molding, and I'm constantly, I mean, every week I get inquiries. Hey, have you built that injection molding machine yet? And not yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Jim Bashir says, "Did Marsh have a van in the 70s?"
No, I had a GTX.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint you, Jim. Michael Lawing asked, and it kind of goes along the same lines of the Daniel Harju question. He says, "What's a dream project or skill? Anything that seems unattainable due to time or material costs?"
Well, you know, when it comes to skill, I would, I do not call myself a machinist, but I have a lot of machine tools. You can see right here, I got my milling machine lathe. I'm not very good at it. I can't cut threads with it. It can cut threads, but I can't. So yeah, I'd really like to hone my skills as a machinist.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got for the time being, anyway.
So, Marsh, I'm gonna ask a question that's important because it's part of the timeline and thing. This whole thing that we're doing. A few weeks or months ago, we were on Hangout, and I don't know what the subject was. It was well, I know what the subject was. I just don't know who we were talking about. That they busted out with a video, and there was some. I remember. So Matt Haas, get this, Awesome Wood Things has an awesome.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah, well, so Matt Haas, Awesome Wood Things, he's been on the show as well. He's one of the early interviews. He is totally 80s, right? He loves it, and he's willing to go out there and be quirky and crazy and all that. He did a whole video with like a Prince theme unboxing, and he's dancing like a madman, crazy. And we were talking about that and you haven't seen that? Well, you got to see it, and the graphics and all that. And Marsh, I think, popped in. I'm sort of paraphrasing what happened because I'm not sure if it's exact detail. He says, "Well, I got a video," and he posts it, and I go and check it out. A lot of us did. Marsh is freaking in a huge, whether it's an ice skating rink or dance hall, I forget that particular. He is dancing, but I mean, pro, lifting the woman, twirling like a freaking pro. Marsh, when did you learn how to do that?
Well, that gets back to that time where
Incidentally, Jamie Page doesn't seem to be that impressed by this question, but we'll continue anyhow.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the video.
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I have.
Well, maybe we ought to post a link to that.
It's excellent.
But so back to that idea where I used to live this life where one day I was going to do something. One day I'll do this. One day I'll do that. And the day came. That's what happened. And I used to say one day I would really like to learn how to dance. So one day I did. I went and took, and that lesson turned into about 10 years of lessons, and I ended up being a silver level ballroom dancer. And yeah, if you can name a dance, waltz, foxtrot, hustle, nightclub two-step, cha-cha, rumba, I learned them all. And some people say I got okay at a few of them too.
Lee Harvey, you madman.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I mean, see, that's what I like. It's like insanity. Marsh doesn't even realize it. He goes from dancing to freaking, tearing to pieces this huge, metal tank, and it's just it's an amazing thing. What can we say about that? That pretty much covers it. So, Marsh, let me ask you a question. May I?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the show?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what? It's over already?
Well, heck. So you enjoy. I'm glad. Well, so will you? I'm glad you enjoyed it. Will you come back and see us?
Well,
of course.
Let me just see if Daniel Hardy's got another question. It might go on for another hour.
So you'll come back and see us?
Of course I will. You guys are great. You're my pals.
Well, look. So I appreciate you. So there's a lot left unsaid, as with all the previous. And in fact, Arju, a lot of the cats out there, there's a lot left unsaid. So we'll have you back on. I do want to mention I appreciate you coming on. It was my pleasure. Are there any final words, things that you're going to be doing, places you want folks to go check out, any links, anything you'd like to?
Well, the sticker wall can use some contributions. if you want to see my YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/Wildman Tech. On Instagram, I am wildman.tech, and my personal website, my company website, is wildman.tech. And yeah, I try to keep the same name everywhere. And yeah, if you want to stop by, just call first. Got my maker hangout Saturday at Sac City Brews if you're in Northern California. And yeah, it's been real fun. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Awesome, dude. So before we go to the other hosts here, if you look behind you, can you name off some of the stickers you got just to hear them, like freaking rapid fire?
Oh yeah, Matt Cremona, Keith Fenner, Retro Weld, Bill Lutz, Christina at Get Hands Dirty, Laura Camp, Andy Berkey, blame that guy for everything. Emma's Spare Room Machine Shop, Matt Haas, Mark Lindsay, yeah, oh yeah, Harneo Media, and I want to thank Harneo Media and the Makers Media Network, and you in particular, Eloy, because you guys are doing nothing but trying to help makers who are trying to grow a social media presence, and I really appreciate what you're doing. And I know it's probably a pretty thankless job a lot of times, but yeah, I really appreciate it, and please accept my thanks along with the unspoken thanks of all those out there thinking it.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, dude. And it's completely a difficult task, to say the least. No, not really. So guys, say your bit.
Definitely,
Thanks for having me on again. I'm so happy to contribute in such a big bad way. A big fan of Marsh. That's why I hung. Keep doing your thing, man. Watching you unload that tank by yourself, that was like I almost swore. That was like a lightning bolt moment where it's like, man, I needed to stop making excuses and just kind of do stuff. So yeah, thanks for that.
Always good to see you, Doc.
I guess it's over to me.
Over to you, JB.
Right, I guess it's over to me. Well, first of all, you can check Doc out at flying9.com because he forgot to plug his own website. You can find my YouTube channel at JP Woodwork, where I'll be doing this German Shepherd for a fellow YouTuber very, very soon. I shall be making a start on it probably tomorrow. Get it all drawn out and drilled out tomorrow. So yeah, head over and look over for that. I think that's probably about it for me tonight. And it always decided to disappear on us. Oh no, he's back.
There it is. Wrong button.
So well, before we leave, today is tonight is the last night where we have that Portal Woodworks 2018 Plywood Challenge. So it's wrapping up. I want to thank Portal for the effort and hard work and the prizes, the multiple prizes that if one person wins, there's an inside joke. I want to thank Portal. And last year he did the bandsaw box challenge, which I think is coming round. So you guys, just a heads up. And for those that see this after the fact, go to portalwoodworks.com to check out the challenges available. So just keep an eye out for that. So thanks again, David, for doing what you do. And there's also tonight, I think, is the end of the mallet challenge over with James King from King's Fine Woodworking, which Harju, and by the way, thank you, Harju, for for the super chat. I appreciate that. Arju did a mallet for it, and so we'll see a lot of people throwing in mallets for that challenge. That's all I gotta say. I want to thank you guys. Steve Nealon, he's been posting a lot of shirts from makers from MMN, and it's the first time that you'll see multiple shirts in one shop, maker shirts in one shop on the internet. Never been done. First time ever. So that's on Makers Meet.
There'll also be a bandsaw box challenge in December. We've just been informed.
Okay, right. So we'll be involved in that. So check all that out, guys. Enjoy your week and be happy. And honeybees. Say goodbye, Marsh and Doc and JP.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for stopping in.
Catch you later.
Say something, Doc.
Something, Doc.